All right, we're live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Whether you're joining us live on Friday night or if you're watching the recorded show on YouTube, I'm Tim from Bards, and I'm joined by Jordan Plosky, the CEO and co-founder of Zoop. Hey, maybe I should show that banner.
Hey,
Getting the hang of it. All right. So as I pull up and refresh all the different feeds to make sure everything's coming through okay, I'll just wait for some folks to tune in. And like I said, thanks for coming in and joining us tonight.
yeah, man. Thanks for the invite. Always happy to talk comics and I don't know, shoot the breeze, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much what these Friday night streams are. I am nowhere skilled or intelligent enough to make this a very nice live stream.
You know what? I gotta say, I mean, I've seen a bunch of them, and the fact that people keep coming back and tuning in, I think you're doing something right. You got to stop selling yourself short there, Tim.
Uh, that's a I guess that's my toxic trait.
The power of positivity. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You got this.
Um, it's good to keep my ego in check, I guess. And you know what? It's probably the Catholic guilt, even though I've long since left the church behind. I think that that's just something that is like driven into us over here at such a young age.
Understood, man. Yeah, I grew up. I'm Jewish, so the guilt of Jewish
Ooh,
parents and Jewish grandparents is hard to equal. So I
mm-hmm.
see your Catholic guilt. And it raises
Yeah.
you Jewish guilt.
If there's any two that can compete, I think those are it.
For sure, man.
It's funny how those two are just so well known for the guilt.
Absolutely.
All right. So cool. We're gonna go for about an hour here. And if you've tuned in last week, you know that we've started ending these with very important PSAs. So that'll be entertaining. Make sure you stay till the end because you'll get a nice little bit of knowledge. Yeah. So we're gonna talk about Zoop a lot tonight. I would like to start with just a disclaimer, right? Band of Bards is running a Zoop campaign in April. So, we're not here to like be cheerleaders and stuff like that of any specific platform, and obviously we do have an interest in making sure that our the people are coming to Zoop, right? I think just to be upfront with that, but we're not here just to like sell you all rosy pictures and everything and blow smoke up your ass. We're here to have a very honest conversation about Zoop, how it came about, what the advantages of using Zoop as a platform for crowdfunding your comic are, and if you have questions, please pop them into the chat. We're very happy to address anything that we possibly can.
Everything Tim said, yes.
So I think the best part to start, right, is always the origin story, right? So like, what was
Sure.
the impetus behind Zoop and how did that start?
Yeah, so my co-founder Eric Moss and I got together over the pandemic and really started putting our heads together. This was like, Diamond had shut down for a couple of months,
Mm-hmm.
retailers had shut down for a couple of months, and I think we both needed something like positive to focus on. So I've done a startup before. I was fortunate enough to have an exit with that, and I hadn't really considered doing another one. But then the pandemic hit, and it was like, all right, I need something. I was in a bad mental space, and I needed something to focus on, that positivity. Eric and I started talking, and Eric has run multiple crowdfunding campaigns, successful campaigns before for IDW, for
Okay.
Cryptozoic. He's probably most like, I mean, the biggest one he's done was he was the campaign manager for the Berserker campaign
Oh,
with Keanu
yeah.
Reeves and Boom Studios. So um, he's formerly from IDW. My startup was called Comic Blitz, where we were sort of like the Comixology Unlimited model.
Okay.
Um, and so that's how Eric and I had met, because I was licensing IDW content from him for our platform. Platform's not around anymore, but that's how we met and we reconnected. And he was basically thinking about trying to get into crowdfunding, consulting and helping people. And with my background in kind of starting platforms, I was kind of just like, well, let's just take the whole thing. Like, tack on to Kickstarter. Let's make our own rules. Let's figure out
Yeah.
what's working, what's not working, change everything to how we see that it should be. And that was basically, how Zoop came about.
Very cool. Yeah, I get that. You know, band the Bards in truth started in like 2016, but a lot of it started to come up as Chris and I put our heads back together and we're in a little bit better place in our own lives as the
Sure.
pandemic was kicking off. And
Timing, man. It's all
yeah,
timing.
it is everything in life, right?
Yeah. And I mean, we could talk about the timing also of us launching, just mere months before Kickstarter makes an announcement that makes people actually want an alternative. Or, they're like actively looking for an alternative, and realistically, like there we were.
Yeah.
So that's probably how we wound up getting in touch with you guys and getting in touch with a lot of the creators that we're running campaigns for now and that have been on the show and the live stream. That whole thing, in all honesty, I mean, like our original business model was a full service crowdfunding platform. So what
Yeah.
that meant was, a one-stop shop for, we're the platform, we're the credit card processing. That's everything that you get on Kickstarter. But then also we can handle campaign management. We can handle marketing, printing, and fulfillment management services. I want to make very clear. We don't ourselves. I mean, we have third-party vendors for printing and for fulfillment. But what happens when our initial clients basically were coming on board, it was one phone call instead of trying to piece all that together on your own. And, the sourcing and researching and negotiating and vetting everything. It was just like, guys, you'll do this? Cool. Take care of it. Saving basically creators. And these are, established creators who have been in the industry for a while and have their freelance work with like your Marvels and DCs and have some creator owned stuff, but they just didn't have the time or bandwidth. And of course, the other thing, which everybody knows, whether you're an established creator or not, is like having to handle fulfillment is such a pain in the ass too. and that piece winds up scaring people away from crowdfunding at all.
Yeah.
So
no, we see that in our Discord a lot. There's always a ton of talk. Not to like shamelessly plug it, I will drop the link for that. But that is just a frequent conversation piece. Is who do you go through for printer? How do you handle managing your fulfillment? How do you handle the shipping and figuring out all these crazy shipping rates as they're always changing? And you absolutely see people either shying away from doing it themselves or looking to find someone to partner with, whether it's another creator that they're going to share the book with or what. I think that's something that with Zoop, you really identify what a lot of folks needed or were at least begging for, right? On top of wanting to have some sort of competition in the crowdfunding space.
Yeah, and look, our plan was always to open up the doors to everybody and sort of go head to head with Kickstarter. Just make that same simple offering. It's like, here's the platform and we'll handle the credit card processing for you, and then you can handle all of that stuff on your own. But because of their announcement, we kind of rushed into that space. We were not ready, like in full disclosure, we're still not ready, but we're managing and juggling as best we can to help creators who are looking for that alternative. But to your point, even though if we're not handling the fulfillment and the printing for those creators, we have our own shipping matrix with up-to-date shipping prices that are kind of baked in. So there's no guesswork, on that side of things for creators coming in, like at the, we still haven't like named it. I don't really necessarily know how to differentiate, like, hey, this is, the not full service. There's the full service, and then there's like the Kickstarter version, and we can't call it the Kickstarter version, obviously, but like that sort of on your own.
Well,
that
it's like
good either,
one's kind of like a boutique, and the other is more of a traditional path that people are familiar with.
But so that tradition, I like traditional. The traditional path, we modeled after Kickstarter, but we feel that we've improved upon it. And one of those things is by providing that shipping matrix, right? You don't have to do the research and figure it out. We just
That's
kind of
huge.
give you what the shipping rates are at current. Now, that's at current. Those shipping rates can change in a few months, so
Yeah.
you could still enter in your own shipping rates that you want to charge, and we're happy to do that for anybody. The other piece that a lot of people really seem to like, and this is, I think, like a big differentiator for not just creators, but for also backers, between Zoop and Kickstarter, is the checkout process. So with Kickstarter, if you're putting together a campaign as a creator, now you have to figure out all these bundles, all these tiers that you have to package up and give like a crazy name to, and figure out, well, if these are in, he can't put them in this other one. And now what basically happens is you have backers who maybe wanted a bookmark or a trading card or a challenge coin or something like that, but they can't get it because you can only purchase one tier on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And then not everybody does an add-on campaign, like a backer kit campaign after their campaign. So what we've done is basically streamlined all of that and says, well, there's nothing wrong with like the Amazon Prime model. Throw everything you want into a cart and check out and get everything you want. So you could get 2 of those, 1 of those, put them all in your cart. By purchasing any of the main rewards, you will now unlock the add-ons in the campaign.
Yeah.
So you can purchase whatever you want in one shot without having to wait for surveys and backer kit to come through, or being just like locked out of the things that you potentially want as a backer. And we've gotten great response to that from creators and from backers, just because it's,
I bet,
e-commerce is so intuitive.
It's you've segued into a couple of my other questions.
I'm sorry.
No, that's cool. I'll just have to make sure I don't check them off yet and come back to them. But I will say, from my standpoint, that's one thing I did like a lot about Zoop, is that, we're not spending so many hours trying to piece out what do we think are going to be all the different combinations that people will want, and anticipate, everyone that will actually get used, but also like be able to make a sound judgment on which ones will probably only get maybe like a couple of people picking it, and that's not worth putting together as a package. And that's just so much anticipation that you're stressing out over, between that and then shipping costs and how to do that. So I do like how much of a weight is taken off of our shoulders by being able to just not think so much about the shipping, understand that it's going to be calculated and it'll be accurate because it's based on weight. And that we can just throw up a very few simple main rewards and then have several different add-on options that people can pick as if they're just going through a regular old shopping cart. And then, also put together a couple different packages. Like, we've liked to go with a couple of different ones that are like the small art bundle and the large art bundle. So like, if someone wants to get a whole bunch of the add-on items, but not like every single extra art one, okay, we'll select a bunch of them instead of picking them single, and we'll give you a little bit of a price discount, right?
That's the thing,
or get all of them and still get like a little bit less of a cost by getting all of them than you would by individually selecting all of them. Things like that.
That's the point of a bundle, realistically. Is not having to like sweat and figure out like what bundle you think you'll sell. No, I mean, like, the point is, like you said, is to incentivize backers to, with those price breaks and just like a little bit better deal. Hey, you buy 2, you'll get a little something off. Buy 3, even more off. And that everybody wins there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, if you're the one running the campaign, what you're maybe not aware of, if you're doing it for the first time, or if you're just, I always say, what makes Band of Bards work to this point is that Chris and I are very complementary in our skill sets. He's very much the artist. He's very much more tech savvy, runs the website and all that stuff. And I've got more of the business mind, right? I don't have hair to lose, so I can do the taxes. I can think of the different, I can handle thinking of all the dirty marketing stuff that makes a lot of people feel queasy. I have a black heart and not much of a conscience, so I can do that. I think you have to have a little bit of that cynicism to be a marketer. Um, but yeah, so that just it's very hard then to think of all those things if that's not your skill set, and to understand that the simpler you can make your ordering on the front side of that, the less you have to think when it comes time to actually go and order those items. And like if you only sold 5 art prints, you know, the cost per unit then it can kill you to because you have to go and get those to fulfill what you promised, but you end up spending way more money to buy that handful of things that ended up not being super popular. But if you can somehow get people to just order these things in batches like that, for one thing, you're getting more money into your campaign, but it's also making the fulfillment side easier right off the get-go.
And dropping your costs, like you said, per unit.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. The other thing I was going to say is, I mean, shipping internationally as well.
Mm.
So, I just mean the rates, like we're able to provide those for people. And then, the other thing is, we're comic specific, comics and graphic novels only at this point. Although I should say, I mean, we have a project coming up that's going to be a puzzle, but that's actually with the Rocketeer.
Rocketeer, right? I saw that.
Yeah, so comics related,
Yeah.
that's what we're starting to, spread our wings a little bit, but it's all going to be, sort of in our world, in this geek collector, Comic Con, anime loving fandom type world. That's the overall vision. But so for right now, it's all comics. And because we're not competing with tech gadgets and designer things, and literally, 150 live comic projects at once on Kickstarter, every project is highly visible on Zoop. So that's, I think, like another benefit to us. I mean, we market every single campaign that comes through with our own marketing dollars as well. So that's another benefit of coming to Zoop is, yeah, we're going to push it. We want you to succeed. We are not Kickstarter where they don't care if you succeed or not. Like we want every single one of our campaigns to succeed. And as of right now, we have a higher completion, a higher funding percentage than Kickstarter. Now, we haven't been around as long, but still doing good. So very proud to say that.
Hey, it's perfectly fine, recognizing the smaller sample space, but toot that horn, draw attention to the fact that like
toot, Tim.
Yeah. It's I think what's really important with that is that a lot of times it can take a while for a new platform to gain that speed to get up to that level. So the fact that you're already at a high success rate, off the bat is a very important thing for people to understand.
Yeah, I mean, so the success rate of campaigns getting funded and the revenue. Like I said, I had another startup before Zoop, and the fact that we've only been live since June, and this company has made more money than that company ever made in sales and top line revenue. Like, there's something here. I think that there's a demand that is clear, that we're solving a problem for a lot of people, a lot of creatives. And I say creatives because it's creators in the comics industry, but then other people that we're talking to as well. So feels good. Like, in all honesty, the fact that like we are able to help people fulfill their dream of making a comic, of getting a comic out there. Like, forget everything else. Like, that's awesome. That just feels so good.
Oh, that's a high all of in itself, right? Is it like, we were instrumental in helping someone achieve, something that was really important to them. When you can take so much satisfaction from what you're doing from that, that again, you've got a lot more invested in it. Obviously, you've got financial skin in the game, but like emotionally, you're invested in this too. So
this is there's so much to be said about being like an entrepreneur and like having your own business and working for yourself, but like to find something that like actually solves a problem and benefits people. Like my last company, although we had success, we weren't solving anybody's problem. It was just like the business I wanted to be in, but this is now still my passion, but now there's like all these added benefits of seeing, other people succeed because we exist. That just blows my mind, and it's crazy, and it's pretty amazing. As someone who's not a comic creator myself, like I can't write, I can't draw.
Mm.
This is as close as I'll ever come to having like, participation in putting out comics. So it feels really good.
Well, to kind of borrow a phrase, it takes a village.
Well, 100%, man. Look, you're seeing that as well.
Yeah.
Like you guys are a small publisher or small press. I don't know how you
Same thing.
accurately define yourself. Yeah, okay. But the fact that like you guys are putting out books, like I saw the tweets of your first book, being fulfilled and people tweeting about it, like, hey, look what came in the mail today. Like you guys
Yeah.
must have been beaming.
Oh, it was one thing to open up a box and see it, and to be able to send the pictures, to Max of his book, to get the copyrights in the mail, and
Sure.
to send Robin and Jorge, the picture like, hey, look, here's your name on something from the copyright office for your work. That's really cool. And then to like see people happily having it in their hands and being excited to get it in the mail. Yeah, it's very cool. And like, I can't draw. I like to think I can write, but who knows?
I guess
This
we'll
is
all find out April 11th. Or that
no, that's Elise Russell writing Sentience, which to broaden the scope of Zoop again, an American light novel.
Can you explain that, by the way?
Yeah.
Exactly what? Thank you.
So, so the light novel is something that this was totally his idea. We'll need to he and I will have to make sure we're putting a lot more out there about like how this whole came about. But we were thinking of like different ways to approach some of Elise's work, because we have a bunch of stuff that we want to do with her and her team. Fantastic all-woman team. Her as a writer, Danny Rivera as an artist, Miranda Lyson as a colorist and letterer, and then they have, oh gosh, this will be, don't make it 2 weeks in a row that I blank on oh fuck, this is why I can't do these things live. I'm terrible, so terrible with names. Nicole DeAndrea is as an editor.
You did it.
Yeah, okay. I'm picturing the last name, and I'm like, come on, first name. And then Damon Barrett Rose actually helping out with an initial round of edits on Sentience. So, right, Band of Bards is our whole mission is to improve representation, inclusion, and diversity in comics. It is important to us for this, to have it showcase this all-woman team, and they're amazing. Holy cow! I saw the cover the other day. It's good.
That's not it on the coming.
Oh, it's a
page?
mock-up. That's a mock-up.
Oh,
yeah.
okay,
The logo is the logo, but
Okay.
We'll have a cover reveal, I believe, coming up on Wednesday. Yeah, a lot of special things coming up. Anyway, so Chris brought up the idea of possibly doing a light novel, which is popular in Japan as a format, typically for like older teens and young adults. 50,000-ish words as a rule of thumb, usually with like 5 to 10 illustrations, usually in black and white only. So I'd hold it up, but I have this book, this big compendium of Vampire Hunter D is underneath my webcam right now to prop it up.
No worries. Well, so what is 50,000 words translate to pages wise? That's what I would measure.
Couple hundred-ish.
So what makes it a light novel then?
It's the topic obviously is going to be a little bit more in line with like what you'd expect from like a comic,
Okay.
in terms of the subject matter and all that, and then the illustrations being mixed in. It's not quite a picture book, but it's a light novel. Maybe it might just translate funny from so us and our self-deprecating humor, we're like, well, we want to put maybe a little bit more illustrations and artwork, and even mix in some sequential art, which you don't typically see in traditional.
That's kind of cool.
So we're like, oh, we're gonna supersize it. It's American, because everything American is just fatter. So it's a little bit of humor, but also like I think it's important as that marketer to somehow differentiate it and make sure people understand that we're putting our own little twist on this. And we're not the only one. I know like Dauntless Stories is doing
Sure.
something similar along that vein. But this is just something that I think is going to be a fun way to play around. And also, from our standpoint, again, as you're looking at how to maybe make it more successful business-wise and sales-wise, this is something that isn't going to be beholden to a comic shop that your only source of getting it out there would be through
Sure.
Diamond or Lunar. This is something that in its format would fit into a comics shop, but any other kind of book retailer, be it an independent shop or a big box, it would be an appropriate item for them to have. So we'll be able to also sell it through Ingram and get it into a much wider international distribution like that.
Nice, man.
Yeah, so like those are those little wrinkles that will make a lot of these things stand out, and it's a big reason why for us, as a publisher, we don't want to stick to just solely one single format, one single genre. We are trying to cast a wide net, but always focused on that mission, right? So that's what Band of Bards is about, is that mission, and comics is our tool of achieving that mission, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm glad that you brought up diversity as well, because that's like where we are at. I mean, admittedly, we don't have the most diverse team, but we love the diverse projects, LGBTQIA. We are huge allies. We have a crowdfunding campaign that's going on right now to support the protect trans kids movement in the state of Texas right now, and we're very happy to be doing stuff like that. Having almost all female creative teams on some of our books. One I definitely want to shout out is Dead Dreams by Brittany Matter, Dalen Ogden, and like super proud of that book. I think that that's an amazing shout. If you're not familiar with it, go check it out on zoop.gg. The campaign is live now, and certainly would love your support. Support these indie comic creators who are putting out some really, really cool, ethereal, very thought-provoking type stuff. There's a Liana Kangas variant cover. There's some limited signed and numbered Liana Kangas prints signed by Liana. Yeah, there we go, Tim. But yeah, look, there's only 25. So if you're a fan of hers, if you're into supporting, an all-female or a mostly female, I should say, predominantly female creative team, yes, thank you, Tim, for putting that up there, that link.
They're all in the chat. So
yeah, we'd love the support on that one, because that one deserves support.
Yeah,
very much. And they all deserve support, but this one very much, top of mind. Yes, and then the Protect Trans Kids, please, that's an important cause. In all honesty, I think that trans people are some of the bravest, most courageous people in the world. So, I think that this cause is incredibly important, and people shouldn't be vilified just because of who they know themselves to be. So
yeah. I mean, folks just want to be able to live their lives, right?
That's it. Life is hard enough without some asshole.
I know.
Like,
yeah,
trying to mess with you because whatever. This conversation can go down a whole other rabbit hole. But
you bet.
But yeah, just don't be a dick.
That's really what it comes down to, right?
That's it. Shutting up is free. Don't say anything.
I'll always come back to Kurt Vonnegut, right? And actually use this as like the rules of behavior in our Discord is number one is a Vonnegut quote is, "God damn it, you've got to be nice, babies." And like that's
How
really
hard
all.
Is that?
Yeah, if someone's doing something you don't like, but it isn't actually causing harm to you or anyone else, like, just keep your fucking mouth shut and go on.
I knew we'd get along, Tim.
So like I said, we kind of touched on a couple of things. I did want to ask you, how did you expect 2022 to go. And then how did that change in December 2021?
Yeah, I mean that changed everything, to be honest with you. Man, how did we expect it to go? I mean, I think that we just kind of we were planning to continue doing sort of the concierge full service type thing, knowing that we would be getting to like the open door policy. But what we were planning on doing was having the site fully automated by that point, so that we didn't have to, like Tim, so right now the way that we're doing it is like we set up a Google Drive folder and you're dropping your assets in, and now we're creating the campaign page for you, which is probably still way less work than you would have to do on Kickstarter. But like, so now, behind the scenes, like we're working on that. That's something that we're looking to do, because eventually we're just going to run out of like time in the day to put together all of the campaigns that we're working on and providing full services to. So it's just not scalable for what's going on right now. When that announcement happened from Kickstarter, that was the best press release that we never put out.
Right.
So it really, we got probably like, the initial number was 120, but I think it's been even more since like the initial wave of inbound inquiries. So the fact is that's like 150 people. And I'm not saying that we have all of them coming on board, but those are people who never probably considered coming to our platform ever, because they were happy with Kickstarter and that was the model, and now the fact is, look, I forgot what it was called, blockchain, and it skipped my mind for a second. What's that?
Mental blockchain.
Yeah. Thank you. But, that's going to be an ongoing issue. But I understand the fact that like some creators don't want to make their living. How do I put this? It's like they don't want to compromise their beliefs in order to do what they to put out the content, to put out the comics that they want to put out. Yeah. And so the fact that like we were already up and running, it was like an easy enough transition to just say like, oh, I don't want to be over here. What's going on over here? And kind of make the jump. I know, like, it looked like there was a bunch of other people, and they still may be trying. I don't know, behind the scenes, but like it seemed like there might have been a couple other people trying to enter into the space of being a crowdfunding platform. Like I said, I don't know if that's actually still happening or not. But when that announcement happened, we instantly, it was like, well, we had plans to do this anyway, but it just sped up our plans. And we're like, all right, let's roll up our sleeves and figure out like, what can we do? How can we offer something that provides a safety net for the people who are like, that never want to do business with Kickstarter again. And I think that what we are providing as a service right now, we're still tweaking it because, again, like we have our hands on every single campaign, but I think what we're doing right now is working. I think that people are seeing success. We're funding campaigns. And, from my perspective, I feel like if we do a good job, then those people who have run successful campaigns will hopefully keep coming back because, we're proving the model with every campaign that's coming out, Yeah. And it's slightly different than Kickstarter because you don't have to get funded on day one. And like with Kickstarter, if you don't get funded on day one, you get, and then you're like sweating it. Look, that's not the case here. We see we have Small Bites is a horror comic that's live right now as well. And that's been live for 3 or 4 days and it's steadily cruising along, and same with Dead Dreams is another one. Diary of an Astro Nudes actually did fund in 1 day, and which is fantastic because I didn't know this creator at all, but they already have like 145 backers. They've doubled what their goal was. They're over $3,000 right now, and they've got 20 days left. So this is a good speaking point, Tim. What's really interesting sometimes Um, we're learning a lot because the fact is most people will do, let's say, one crowdfunding campaign a year, maybe two, you know, but we've already done 15 this year, and I'm seeing every single one of them. So we're absorbing all this like information at a super fast. Oh, thank you, Matthew. Yeah,
Yeah, Matt's
cool.
art
Well,
is phenomenal. Yeah, I will completely back Matt's work. And
yeah,
I backed Small Bites, believe on right in the first day or two. I was waiting for that one to hit.
awesome.
But
Yeah,
that there's gonna be tons and tons of fantastic work in that. Anybody go, anybody watching, go to Zoop. Go check these comics out because they're fantastic. And Brittany Matter with Dead Dreams was on last week. She's so cool, and her book is fantastic. And Small Bites is going to be an incredible anthology. It'd be a great addition to anybody's library.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and it shows because people are turning out for it. And this is
Mm-hmm.
the point I was going to try to make is that we see varying levels of success and how long it takes certain campaigns to fund versus not. Like we had a nail biter with 33, but people turned out like in the last
Yeah.
24 to 48 hours and added that extra $1,000+ that we needed at the very last minute, which is
Mm-hmm.
it was a great feeling for everybody. The things that I want to impart, the knowledge that I would like to share from seeing so many campaigns in such a short amount of time is, number one, I know that everybody running a campaign is predominantly or primarily a creator, a creative person. You
Mm-hmm.
might not want to be a salesperson or in the business of self-promotion, but you have to be.
Yeah.
And not only during the 30 days of your campaign, you need to create that buzz well before your campaign even launches. And it's
Yeah.
not so that you can have a strong day one, but it's so that you have. This is the thing I've been saying a lot lately is in crowdfunding, you have to bring the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's with Zoop or on Kickstarter. Yes, Kickstarter, you might find a little bump if you're lucky enough. With Zoop, we're going to be the icing on the cake. We are
Yeah.
going to bring people most likely to your campaign as well, but we make no guarantees about it. And crowdfunding, no matter who you are, no matter what platform you are, the people coming are from your organic
Yeah.
network, your built-in fan base. If you do not do that prep work, if you don't have that in line before you launch a campaign, what do they say in South Park? Like, if you don't bring a towel, it's like, or on the ski slopes, he's like, you're not gonna have a
Oh,
good time.
yeah. If you French fry when you're supposed to pizza, you're gonna have a bad time.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't
Absolutely.
French fry. Yeah,
Yeah. You have, and that is one of the hardest things about this, right? It is, especially when you're starting out and people always want to like,
yes,
how do I start? Like, you, you know, our approach when we started, and this is what we expected to do, spend an entire first year doing. Um, that changed quickly, but it was all about, okay, we need to get out there, start making ourselves known, start just connecting with other creators, and at least we got to start off by making a good name for ourselves and make it be known that like we're not some con artists coming into here just to swipe some money real quick, because like that's another thing that you see in other crowdfunding platforms, right?
sure.
But
But yeah, campaigns not being fulfilled. So,
yeah, hey
hey, Dan.
Dan, nice to have you joining in.
Yeah, man.
Dan also has some fantastic work himself. So it's cool. I love seeing all the different creators come in, and usually like really regularly too. I like Matt. Matt's in here, I think, almost every single week. Dan, Calman in here
Awesome.
almost every single week. Absolutely appreciate everybody who stops in, very as a regular, just like any other bar would.
And guys, if there's people listening, if you have questions,
Yeah.
where this is what we're here for, so that we could talk and kind of shed a little bit of light on Zoop, on crowdfunding in general. I mean, I could sit here and just promote all the projects that we have on the platform right now.
Mm-hmm.
Some stuff that's coming up. I mean, like, but so I guess I'll do that for a second until if a question or something pops up.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned before, we have the Rocketeer. So which is owned by Disney, by the way. So we're really happy that we get to have basically like the one piece of merchandise that doesn't go through Disney. We're working directly with the estate. Yeah.
That's really cool. And I say, I'm absolutely. I don't really make puzzles, but I probably will going back that because the Rocketeer is probably like my earliest memory of a comic book movie, aside from like the 1989 Batman.
How
Right?
old, Tim? How old are you, man? Or what year were you born?
I know, right? It's hard now. I was born in '84, so I think I'm still 37.
Oh, so yeah, so you would have been you would have been super young for the Rocketeer, but yeah, I loved that movie as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I just showed it to my daughter on Disney Plus. It
Oh,
kind of
that's
holds
awesome.
up, man.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Matt did have a question here. He wants to hear about. Oh, he wants to hear what's coming up on Zoop. So I guess we're
Okay.
already talking on that.
Well, I will say that, but
Mm-hmm.
can we go back like a comment or two because
Yeah.
Dan did chime in. Dan, I would have mentioned it, but I didn't know if I was allowed to or not yet. So yes,
Oh, yeah.
we are working with Dan. He does have a campaign coming to us. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to say anything. I didn't know if I should, let the cat out of the bag or not
No.
at this point. But
Um,
yes,
Dan will be on this live stream. I've got it April 29th, unless I'm wrong on that, Dan. But next month, Dan will be popping on to talk about Under God as well.
yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and excited to have him as well. And yes, Rocketeer is awesome. So yeah, so this one is say it. But yeah, so we're working directly with the estate of Dave Stevens, who's the creator of the
Mm-hmm.
Rocketeer. His sister is the trustee and in charge of
Cool.
all of that. So she's going to be doing some interviews. She's on a panel with us at WonderCon. We are going to have a
Very
crowdfunding panel at WonderCon with her name is Jennifer Stevens Bockham. Also on that panel is going to be my co-founder Eric Moss, and two of the other campaigns that we are running at the end of this month and into April. Funny enough, it just lined up that everybody's going to be at WonderCon, but we're doing a book with
Nice.
Chris Ryle,
Oh.
who's the former, like editor-in-chief, publisher, president of IDW, who is very instrumental in Lock and Key. So if anybody ever read Lock and Key, that was like his big pet project.
Yeah.
And now he also has another publishing company called Syzygy Publishing, SYZYGY. Yeah, it's a lot of Y's. Syzygy Publishing. And they just put out their first book called Rain through Image Comics.
Huh.
So I don't know if you guys saw that book with Zoe Thorogood
Okay.
on
Yeah,
art.
now I remember.
And it's actually it's a Joe Hill book. So Joe Hill was the writer of Lock and Key as well, and so it's being adapted into comic form. Zoe
cool.
Thorogood and I believe David Booher, who's the writer of Canto.
Okay.
So this next project is through Syzygy Publishing. It's called Groom Lake, Gray Skies Above. I want to say I might have the subtitle wrong. Gray Skies Above. Yes. Groom Lake was a book that came out a while back with Ben Temple-Smith on art. So now this is sort of like the next version of it. We also have another campaign from David F. Walker. If you know that name, he is the co-creator of Bitter Root at Image, and Naomi with Brian Michael Bendis at DC. And he also had a really nice stretch on Power Man and Iron Fist from Marvel, and some other stuff as well. Eisner Award winner.
Yeah, that's a whole lot of credibility too coming to Zoop, right? Like, and that's always good. I think because like the next question I had before promoting one more upcoming project.
Yeah.
Dropping on the link there for the Sentience pre-launch page. Check it out. Go put your email in there to get notified on launch. Similar to other crowdfunding platforms, but and that also is kind of segueing a little bit into the next question.
Yes.
Right, and like one of those hurdles to get over when you're new, whether it's a new publisher or as a new crowdfunding platform, is that hesitancy to jump on board and support it, right?
For sure.
Which is probably less of a barrier as a publisher because what's the risk that someone takes in checking us out? A few bucks, maybe a little bit of their time. Honestly, if they go to our Global Comics page, they can check out the first 5 pages of any of our books for free. So
Sure.
A little bit less of a hurdle for us on that. But for a crowdfunding platform, there's a lot of risk for someone to take and taking a stab at a new platform. And that's got to be, that had to be a really tough nut to think of how to address for you guys.
Yeah, well, the that's why the way in was to do the full service,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because now all of a sudden, some of the first clients we had were Ron Mars and Andy Lanning and Rick Leonardi. We did a campaign with Brian Level, so that credibility kind of comes to the platform, and it opens up some eyeballs. Like we did
Mm-hmm.
this really big campaign at the end of the last year. John Paul Leon, world-renowned comic artist, beloved by his peers, passed away last year. He had one creator-owned book that went out through Wildstorm in like 2005 or 2006 called The Winter Men.
Mm-hmm.
When he passed away, two of his best friends are Bernard Chang and Tommy Lee Edwards. And they got together with Scott Dunbier, who puts out all the artist edition books through IDW. And the idea was to put out an artist edition of John Paul Leon's Winter Men.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was a charity campaign where literally every penny that wasn't spent on the printing or the credit card processing went to the family of John Paul Leon for his daughter's college education.
Very cool.
So the campaign wound up doing, $190,000+.
Wow.
We had over 1,000 backers, and we had people. So we had prints as well as the book. So not only was Bernard Chang and Tommy Lee Edwards involved, but we got some press coverage as a result. We had Peach Momoko do a print, signed and numbered. Bill Sienkiewicz, Lee Weeks, Duncan Fegretto, Sean Phillips. God. I feel like I'm leaving people out, but like we had a really, really high profile campaign like that. And that was sort of a game changer for us. Because not only, did we raise a lot of money, did we bring a lot of backers in, but now all of a sudden the industry was aware of us. Mm-hmm. And then shortly after that campaign ended was the Kickstarter announcement. So now, because we had this bit, like a lot of eyeballs on us just beforehand, we weren't. That
was good momentum.
Yeah, we weren't like brand new. Like that wasn't the first time people had heard of us. Mm-hmm. People had heard of us, but they maybe never thought about us. Well, I never thought about you that way before, Zoop. Like we weren't on their radar, like as a partner. But now all of a sudden, here we are, and the track record is hopefully helping others, look at us as a potential.
And I gotta say, like, there's that first timer or early entrant hurdle to get over with people coming to bring their projects to your platform, but also for backers, right? Because and that's a whole other different thing, and it's almost in some ways more annoying because you're like the thing that's stopping someone is just not wanting to set up another account, another login. And I gotta say, so like that was one of the things we were trying to figure out, just to kind of have some preemptive answers. And so I think when I go and sign up for our account, it was so freaking easy. It was, so if you've got Facebook or Google, you can just use those to log in. And if you don't have either of those two, you can create a traditional login. So like I just logged in with the Google information. So it was literally 2 clicks of a mouse and 10 seconds. And we had a Zoop account set up. Like it could not be simpler. And I want to say that because obviously we're going to benefit from that too. Please go set up a freaking Zoop account and make sure you're back sentient.
It's incredibly easy to do, like Tim said, and even so, like I never sign in with Google or Facebook, but I have auto-populate. So like as soon as I start typing in J for Jordan, all my information is there. It goes in. We have Apple Pay, so if you like are predominantly on your phone doing these things, just use your Apple Pay. It's super simple. You don't even have to put in a credit card. Yeah. So we're trying to, like to your point, we're trying to reduce friction, reduce the barrier to entry.
The fewer clicks you can do, and that's a big thing, right? Like in my day job, I had to bring this up for like a new process that we started doing, and I'm not going to talk a whole lot about my day job. Can't. But what annoyed me was that we had this new process, and it literally took 69 clicks. I sat there counting all them out to do something that was super tedious, flashing back and forth between us. And I'm like, I have to do this 100 times now. Like,
Yeah, that's too
you're
much.
killing me, right? Like,
Yeah.
so no one wants anything like that, and this is like an completely opposite extreme. Like I said, it's
Thanks, man.
super easy to get in and sign up, and I think maybe the other thing that people need to just get familiar with is that the look and feel of it is slightly different than what you're used to if on other crowdfunding platforms, right?
True.
You don't have to scroll through and filter through all these different rewards packages and figure out which one you like best, which one you can afford, and then what's the shipping on and all that. Like, you can just come in and very simply pick, a lower dollar figure entry item to back, and then if you see other things, you can just click, 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 like you would at any other
Yeah.
e-commerce site. And I think that that way that shows in the interface itself, while it's something that people are super familiar with like any other type of like going and doing a grocery shopping or whatever, like there, but it maybe throws people for a loop because they're expecting the other setup,
Yeah. Which I
Um,
get. And look,
yeah.
we haven't been around long enough, and we came out with a product, and we'll constantly be iterating.
Mhm.
We're happy to take feedback, but I mean, realistically, like if you just look at it as any other shopping experience, that's what we're trying to
Yeah.
emulate, not necessarily the what's realistically. I don't want to sound like shitty saying it, but it's like an outdated
Yeah.
UI.
And,
Like
it, I think once folks just understand that it's intentionally supposed to look different and actually be
yeah.
more comfortable and ease of use, just get in there, look around, play around,
I mean,
and
to your point, Tim. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the fact that we have
yeah,
the rewards with an image, like, and
yeah,
everything all like in its own little box, as
hmm
opposed to like trying to match up what it says on the right hand
yeah,
side with the image that you see like in the center column. Like that's a game we all
hmm
play, and you don't
and
have to do that anymore.
yeah. I mean, I want to work in Matt's question, and I know you've got a
Yes,
hard time, so we got a couple things to squeeze in here. Even though I want to keep talking and talking about all that stuff,
yes.
but Matt's got a great question here. Um, Aside from the social media, what are good methods to
Oh,
promote both Zoop itself as well as the creative projects? Is it all about social media, or are there other avenues?
like I'm not gonna lie. I think social media's stock in promoting crowdfunding has dropped significantly. Let's say just let's call it just since the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like it's not as strong as it used to be, and that's both like your own self promotion and also paid advertising.
Yeah.
um that's
You
not to
know,
say that you shouldn't be doing it. Please don't
we
take
do
that as
not
like, yeah.
we do not pay to promote tweets, Facebook ads, any of that garbage. It
Yeah,
is not worth that money.
but what so I do want to be clear. You still need to promote on all of your
Mm-hmm.
platforms. Without that, then nobody knows that you have something going on. It just, for some reason, the algorithms seem to have changed, and you
Well,
potentially are not penetrating as well as you used to.
it's not like the silver bullet that just
No,
goes gangbusters, right? But it is like the bare minimum. You've got to,
you have to.
find what you can devote your time to. Which platforms are the biggest payoff for you. We don't spend a whole lot of time on our Facebook page. If anybody follows it, you'll know. I don't post on it very frequently. Um, Instagram, you know, we focus on ourselves, and I'm not throwing this out there to end around or ruin anybody else's day, but like we'll invest more time on Twitter and Discord and through using the live streams because we want to maximize the interactive potential and the easy shareability of those platforms. Whereas like if I have to say, hey, link in the bio, go to the bio to click on the link, like, and then I have to constantly change the link that's in my bio, that's a pain in my ass. That's a waste of my time. You
It's,
know.
yeah, and I know that this wasn't like the best answer that you were looking for, Matt, but I mean, the silver bullet, to
Yeah.
Tim's point, is email. Email is still the
Yes.
strongest because that means that people already recognize you. They know who you are.
Yeah.
They're signed up for, if it's a newsletter or just, if you have a table at an artist alley at a convention, you have people signing up. Like, email is still king. We're,
On that
I
note,
know, yes.
Sign up for our newsletter. If
Ah.
anybody is wondering why we're pushing that more and more through our Twitter page, this is why, right? It's always a thing. You want to maintain your own data, right? And there's a little bit of dirtiness and negative connotation around those words, right? But if someone has come and backed something, you know that they support you in some way.
Yes.
Get their email, maintain your own contact list, and that way you will always have control over being able to, connect with people that you know have materially backed you and are a high probability of continuing to back you.
The thing about email is people see it every day. They're not just
Yeah.
scrolling by it or like missing it. Like people
Yeah.
check every single email that comes through for the most part, more so than social media. Like, I mean, I can go days potentially without seeing a Band of Bards tweet, and that's not their fault. That's because the algorithm maybe
Yeah.
isn't showing it to me, or I didn't log on at the time, or whatever.
Oh yeah, so many different things.
But yeah, social has certainly changed. Although, um, I'm 40 plus. I don't know anything about TikTok, but I feel like TikTok actually
Yeah.
might be like a social media platform where people actually pay attention. I don't know how many sales specifically in the comics world go through TikTok, but I know that it's picking
Yeah.
up in other industries. So
Yeah.
that might be something to be a pioneer in.
Yeah. I think Chris and I are both out of the target demographic for TikTok, and neither of us has the time to learn a new one. Platform in that. So
email. So then email, Matt.
Right, but it's also like if you have the time to learn it, cool. If you're a publisher like us and you're fortunate to have a lot of creators that recognize that, hey, we're here. Promotion, marketing is our big thing of our end of the deal as a publisher, but you should probably promote your own work too. And a lot of times those creators will have a great following on Instagram or do a really great TikTok. Like Fella Hound's TikToks are awesome. But mostly what I know of TikTok is what the Ukrainian soldiers are sharing on right now. So
yeah,
that's completely separate from comics. So I can't talk too much about it. All right. So
understood, man. But
we're just about, we're a little bit over the hour mark there, and I don't want to keep pulling you up from your other commitments.
It's all good. If there were more questions, I mean, I'm happy to tag them before we go, or we can just.
I think I'll probably email you a couple of questions, and we'll be able to throw that up maybe in a Bard blog as like a follow-up to all this and such. Because I had some questions about like just forming your team and everything like that.
Sure.
But
look, I'm at 6:01 right now. I could probably go to like 6:10. If you want to do it now, we can, or if you prefer to email, either way is fine.
I'll email you a couple of follow-up things, right? And we'll throw that into next Tuesday's Bard blog. Yeah.
Hey. All right. Sounds good.
All right. As promised, Band of Bards public service announcement. Anybody who's tuned in before, be aware, but just so anybody understands why we're doing the PSA. I'm a firefighter here locally, so the PSA you're getting is legit. This isn't a load of shit being blown up your ass. So, daylight savings time was just this past week, and I know while that is going away, it is one very useful thing for it is that it's a very timely reminder to check the batteries and all your smoke and carbon monoxide detectors. So, change out those batteries. And we talked about fire extinguishers last week. One of the other things, when you have these dry chemical fire extinguishers, it's like a bottle of pop, if it's still sealed, and you want to shake it up and spray it everywhere to be mean to someone, right? It's compressed air in both of these containers. This one's got a bunch of dry chemical that will put out fire. So you need to keep it mixed up well for it to be useful. So every 6 months during daily savings, you want to switch out those batteries, and you could hear it if you're here, but it's like a sandbag falling back and forth. You want to mix that guy up. Keep it good and ready. All right, that's the public
That's
service
good to
announcement
know.
for this week.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I didn't until I joined the fire company. I was like, you don't say.
Wow. I'm gonna go do that right now.
Yeah, like seriously, hold it up, and it takes a couple seconds, but you'll start to hear it all falling. So,
Sure.
yeah.
That's nuts. Wow. That's a good PSA actually.
Thanks. All right. Appreciate everybody coming in and chatting tonight. Well, again, this will be shared and shared and shared throughout the week, and it'll be up on YouTube indefinitely. So we'll be able to always make sure we're pumping this back out. But so if you've got questions, hit them up, and you can even drop a little question still in some of the tweets. Jordan is tagged in the tweets, so he'll see them.
Yeah. Yeah, and you could check us out if you don't mind me just plug in everything.
Plug.
We're at zoop.gg, so it's not zoop.com. Make sure to go to zoop.gg. Check out all of the campaigns that are live right now. We'd love your support. If you're a creator and you're interested in submitting, come to zoop.gg, and at the top, either on your phone, your desktop, you'll see it says submit your project. Check out our process there. You can email us at hello@wearezoop.com. The entire team will get it, and someone's going to get back to you really quickly. We are at wearezoop on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So if you want to reach out to us there or tag us in things, at wearezoop, like We Are Venom or We Are Robin, or I know a band called We Are the Fury. We were kind of going with that whole thing. So,
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I will back that up. Very, very quick response. That very personal touch, that accessibility. Really appreciate that.
Thanks, Tim. We appreciate you. Thank you for having me on, man. I do appreciate it.
Hey, anytime. There probably will be Apple demand an opportunity to do it again sometime soon.
I'm sure. Maybe April 11th.
Ooh, there's something special about that date. All right. So I'll keep everybody in suspense. And until next week, do we? Yeah, we got a show next week. We are changing the schedule up a bit. But yeah, I think next Friday we got something. I don't know quite yet, but we do. All right.
There you go.
Cheers, everybody. Have a good weekend.